Hello, everyone. Hello, everyone. Hi, my name is Sarah Pang, and I'm a Singaporean professional tennis player. I realize that 99% of you in the audience might never have heard of me, so I'm just going to briefly run through you guys who I am and really my story in a nutshell in the next 10 minutes. I'm a high-performance tennis player. So has anyone heard the term high performance before? Nope. Okay. High performance is the highest level of performance you can perform at for your particular sport. So you have high-performance athletes in whether you're golfers, your basketballers, your tennis players, your rugby players. If you perform and compete at the highest level internationally for your country, and you do it at an extremely hard regime, you are considered a high-performance athlete. So I'm a high-performance tennis player. I play on the professional circuit on the International Tennis Federation, and I am a born and bred Singaporean. I grew up, like many of you, on Mee Pok and Rojak, and I am also an HDB girl, like many of you guys too. So today, what I really want to talk to you guys about is this thing called humble beginnings. As you all will see from my story and from the descriptor of who I am, I really come from humble beginnings. And I hope that in the midst of this, you all will hear my story and realize that no matter how humble a beginning you may be from, it is never too late to start dreaming big and to really pursuing what you want in your heart with the fullest of your ability. I am also the fifth of 6 children. Mother was Catholic for a while, so that probably explains why. Okay, no one got that. No. I'm the fifth of 6. My dad's a school teacher, my mom's a homemaker. And because I'm the second youngest in my family, I'm an auntie 12 times over. So I come from a big family. I am also a full product of our educational system. So I went to primary school, secondary school, never went and studied abroad, except for student exchange, but did primary, secondary, junior college, university, all in Singapore. So many of the challenges that you all face today, I fully and entirely understand, and I sympathize, because it's really not easy to juggle things. Any athletes in the house? Yes? Like sports CCAs, yes? Okay, so yeah, this would connect with a lot of you. Okay, so my story is, very quickly, I started tennis at the age of 19. In Singapore and in many parts of the world, that's the age when you have professional tennis players retiring. At 19, I started learning how to hold the racket, started understanding what different parts of the racket was called, started learning how to hit my first forehand and my first backhand. And the reason why I started it was because I started playing badminton before that for 10 years. So through primary school, secondary school, and JC, I was playing a different sport. And I was a national junior back in the day playing badminton. But it was a very difficult time because I had to juggle sport and school. And after my A-levels, my dad pulled me aside and he said, "Sarah, Papa has always known you wanted to play professional sport, and I will only let you do it if you choose either golf or tennis." And the schools that I had gone to I went to RGS and RJC. So they were very academically intensive, and I hated it to the core. I got into my schools not because of academics, but because I was really good at badminton. And that's how I got into the school. But when I was there, I was constantly struggling. I was always first few in class, counting backwards. And it was very tough because, at the age that you guys are at, that I was at one point, your sense of self-worth and standing is very much rooted in how well you do academically and how much you stand in class. I don't know if this is speaking to many, but I really believe that it is. And I always suffered from a very low sense of self-esteem when I was in secondary school because I never thought I was good enough. I was never smart enough, never eloquent, never fluent enough compared to my classmates. But every time I stepped on the badminton court, no matter how tired I was, no matter how much my muscles ached, I would always feel alive. And those few hours I spent practicing was my time of day. So as you all are listening to this, I want you all to think about what it is that makes each and every one of you come alive. I don't care. For some of you, it could be animation. For others, it could be thinking about psychology. For others, about law, about economics. This conversation or this presentation is about tennis in a way, but in many ways, it's not about tennis. It's about what makes you come alive. And no one can answer that question for you except you. And too many of us are just way too scared of admitting that this is what I really want in my heart because we're too afraid of failure. So at 19, after I finished my A-levels, 18, after I finished my A-levels, my dad pulled me aside and said, I've always known you wanted to play professional sport, but I'll only let you do it if you choose either golf or tennis. And when my dad said that, I had just finished my A-levels, and I was like a half-dead dog because I was so tired and so burnt out from studying, as many of you would have experienced after your O-levels, and some of you with your coming A's. I was just really burnt out. And when he said that, it felt like, wow, like life suddenly like surging through my body and going, oh my God, you're letting me make this choice? You're really going to let me do this? And then at the drop of a hat, I chose tennis, because obviously the racket relation, right? Retrospectively, I regret it, because if I had chosen golf, I would have a longer lifespan as an athlete, but yeah, I chose tennis, and never once looked back. But because I'm the fifth of six, my other siblings went into a total riot. They're like, what the hell is this tennis thing? You know, you've been playing badminton your whole life and you want to be a professional tennis player? Like, really? And they said, no. You go to university, you jolly well go to university, you finish your degree, you get your safety net up, and then you can go do whatever donkey work you want to do. And, you know, because it's family, the opinions of your siblings and your loved ones and your parents cut very close to heart. I remember my second sister telling me, you hate me now, but you're going to thank me 5 years later. And true enough, 5 years later, I was really thanking her. But I finished university, so I did. I finished university. And they said that probably thinking, you know, after 4 years, after 3-4 years, she'll come out and she'll lose focus and she'll come out and work a 9-to-5 job and we'll have her under the fold and following the route like everyone else. But after 4 years, I still really wanted to do it. Again, there are not many things in life that can make you feel like you were made to do them. And I encourage every one of you to search deep in your heart, whether you're already a working adult, I see some parents in the corner, or still in school, you have to find and ask yourself what it is that really makes you come alive. Because the biggest service you can be to your family and to your loved ones and to the people around you are not when you are falling in line and following the route like everyone else is, but when you are alive and truly shining in the fullest that you believe you can be. So after 4 years, I came out, finished university, finished honors, came out, and I still really wanted to do it. So my siblings said, okay, you're by yourself, you're on your own, you want to play pro tennis, go make your own bid. And that's as close as it is to suicide, because professional tennis is one of the most expensive circuits in the world, professionally as athletes. I just came back from India, and I didn't even spend the full shebang. I didn't even bring my coach with me. One person, we burn about $1,500 to $2,000 a week on tour, just playing the circuit, because you have to pay for your accommodation, your flight, your training, your equipment, everything. And so they said, okay, you do it yourself. And because tennis is a very independent sport in the sense that Roger Federer, Nadal, you guys know who those people are? Yes? Awesome. Wah heng, man. Those guys All of them, very few tennis players on the professional circuit are set by their governments or by their countries. Most of them are private setups. I would say more than 95% of them are private setups, where they are self-funded by their families or by private sponsors or corporate sponsors. So when my family told me, you go do it yourself, it was as good as a death sentence, because there's no way I could technically afford playing or learning how to train and be a professional athlete on my own resource, which was as good as zero. But I really still wanted to do it. So I said, okay, what can I do with my degree and this desire that I have? That's the only two things I have to make it happen. I worked 3 jobs, saved and trained for a year to go to Spain to train. And there, I went to one of the academies, one of the most famous academies in Barcelona, to try and see and train there for 3 weeks. Save for 1 year, work 3 jobs, to save just for 3 weeks worth of training. That's how expensive tennis is. And I went there to see if I had what it took to play professional tennis, to be a professional athlete. So after 3 weeks, turned into 3 months, and the end verdict was, yes, Sarah, you do have what it takes, but you are carbon right now, and if you want to play the professional circuit, you have to be diamond. So you do have what it takes, but we're talking a lot more grinding, a lot more work, a lot more practices, a lot more drills, a lot more everything to get a glimpse of that. Yes, you do have it, carbon ma, still carbon, right? But you do have that base to be a diamond. So they were talking about years of more training. At that point, when I heard it, when I usually tell the story, I ask people, how many of you would have given up at that time? And then many people raised up their hands. I see that hand in the back. Yeah, many people would have given up. But for me, when I heard that answer, I was just super, super ecstatic, super happy, because the answer was not no. All throughout the journey of wanting or having this dream, everyone told me, how are you? Why got people like that? So old and start already, you know? And they were always disparaging and always putting me down. But here I was with some of the best coaches in the world, and they told me, yes, you do have what it takes. You just need years more of training, a lot more grinding, a lot more polishing. And I was just like, wow, praise God. You know, I can do it. I do have what it takes. So I did. I went back to the owner of the academy. I said, Emilio, he used to be number 2 in the world for doubles, top 10 in the world for singles. So we're talking like a real high-performance athlete here. And he owned the academy, and I said his academy was the second biggest in Europe. And that was the academy that I was at. I said, Emilio, I have no money. I had $2,000 in my bank account at the time. I have no money, but I do know I would like to stay here to train. Would you give me that chance? I am willing to, this is like Reflection girl, graduated from college, from university, did honors year, whatever. I said to him, I'm willing to wash your dishes for you, to clean your toilets for you, whatever, just for the chance to stay here and train, to be in this environment, to soak in the tennis, to soak in the environment, to soak in the knowledge and the coaches and the other players. Will you give me that chance? And I suppose it was a measure of extreme desperation, but also extreme resolve to ask for help. That Emilio was very kind, and he said yes. So for the next 1.5 years of my life, I did stay at the academy. Didn't go so far down as to wash dishes or clean toilets, but I worked 12 to 15-hour shifts a day to pay in kind for my training. I would train about 5-6 hours a day, and then pull an overnight night shift to pay in kind, and be a warden for the kids, spend time with them, eyeball a lot of them, help them with their marketing, help them with translation when I learned Spanish well enough. And that's how I pulled it through. And that, in a nutshell, has been a short capsule of my entire journey, which has, till today, come to about 12 years. In the last year or so, I've had a couple of sponsors come on board. Under Armour is one of them. Genesis Performance Center. They helped me with my strength and conditioning work. But for 10 years of my journey, from having this dream of playing professional at 19 to 29, 28, 29, I self-funded my entire pipeline. I always worked multiple jobs to pay for it, to pay for my training, to pay for my travel, to pay for my competitions. And in the end, today, what I've achieved, and this is by no means the end of the journey, it's still the start, because this year I made this huge leap to really follow my heart and turn full-time professional. I reached the last four of this year, I reached the last four of an international tournament, top four, played for SEA Games for Singapore. This is after our quarterfinal, our match that put us in the quarterfinals. And then played for Fed Cup, which in the world of tennis is the highest honor you can give a national tennis player, because this is like the World Championships for tennis by country. Played for Fed Cup. Thank you. But, you know, on one level, there is the question, you know, Sarah, I was being interviewed by Chuan Lai. Anyone know Chuan Lai? You know, the Fire Show. So they had me on the Fire Show, and Chuan Lai was like, Sarah, why do you put yourself through this? You know, it's so hard, it's so hard. And I told him, you know, on one level, the dream, and it has always stayed the dream, it is to represent Singapore in the WTA rankings. And you want to know what the WTA is? Yes, Women's Tennis Association. It's the world circuit for tennis, for women's. So on one level, it's always been a dream to represent Singapore in the WTA rankings. But on another level, it is also to connect with fellow Singaporeans through my journey. You know, there's one thing to call yourself a high-performance athlete, and there's another thing to call yourself a national athlete. There's a difference there. High-performance athletes, the nature of high performance in and of itself is a very self-absorbed endeavor. And I don't mean it in an offensive way. I mean it as it is, because when you are a high-performance athlete, your body is your only motor. If I break my arm, if I break my leg, toy. That's the only piece I have. And so, as an athlete, a high-performance athlete, you need to constantly be thinking about how your body is feeling, whether you have had enough sleep, this muscle's too tight, I need to stretch it out more, I need to do more rehab. And even though when I step on court and I'm one person against my opponent, there's no doubt in my mind that I am just but the sum representative of all the effort and the energy and the time and the commitment and the love that my entire team behind me has given to me. Whether it's my tennis coach, my strength and conditioning coaches, my orthopedist, my podiatrist, my physiotherapist, my masseuse, my sports psychologist. You didn't think there would be so many people behind an athlete, right? But there are, and I am but the sum total of them when I step on court and compete. When I win, initially the win was always, yeah, I want to win because it's my dream, you know, blah, blah, blah. But the more I'm in it, the more I realize that I am winning not for myself, but I win for my team. When I played for SEA Games, it was a very humbling feeling winning my match and having all these Singaporeans that I've never met before in my life, like by the sides of the fence, by the court, like really screaming, like, yeah, come on, man, come on, you know, like, and cheering you on. And then it was then that I realized that it's one thing to be a high-performance athlete, but it's another thing to be a national athlete, because you are called a national athlete because you're meant to be serving your nation through your sport. That's why you're called a national athlete. And I realized that there are too many Singaporean athletes out there, too many of us who are guilty of training so hard, having a fantastic story, suffering in silence, but no one gets to hear their stories. No one gets to hear your story. And so I figured, if that's the case, let me try and share my story. And that's how I came up with Tennis with Sarah. Because in a way, it's not about Sarah Pang, even though, yeah, I'm the one talking, right? But really, it's not about me. It's about tennis with me. It's coming with me on that journey of, on one level, playing professional tennis and how difficult it is on the circuit. But on another level, it's about, through the difficulty of that journey, coming to realize more of yourself. That is a deeper endeavor, that is a stronger endeavor, that you come away more self-conscious and more aware of who you are as a person. And that's the most powerful thing you can do for yourself, because when you're more self-aware, you're more aware of the possibilities and the possibilities of impacts that you can have on the people around you, which is a very wonderful realization. So Tennis with Sarah is my way of giving back, of just telling my story of the life of a Singaporean professional athlete on tour. When we go on tour, it's a very closed world. I just came back from India, came back to speak at Halogen, and then I fly off in 2-3 days to Indonesia for my next leg of tournaments. And India was tough because I went alone, and I landed in Hyderabad at about 11:30, 12 o'clock at night, and I had to take an hour-long taxi ride to my hotel. I got there. The tournament was held at this resort, okay, and it was far out in the outskirts of Hyderabad. So the taxi went all the way, like meandering. Got there, and when the taxi pulled in, there were no lights at all on in this hotel. No lights at all. It was totally dark. It looked like a dilapidated building. There was nothing there. I was just like, whoa, are we in the right place? And I'm alone. I'm a woman, I'm like, oh no, God, please, And then I step out, and then I look through the door of the hotel, right? They're like these fluorescent. We're not even talking about warm lighting. We're talking about fluorescent lighting. So like fluorescent lights in the vague distance. I see like dusty furniture in the corner, and then I see like this big reception desk, and I only see like half a head because the guy's sleeping. And then the car goes pom pom, and then the guy wakes up, and then I step out and I'm like, am I in the right hotel? Am I in the right place? And then the guy goes, oh yes, madam, yes. Then I'm like very slowly taking out my passport for check-in, and like very reluctant. And then I go like, is there anyone who lives here in this hotel? He's like, oh yes, madam, we have 100 rooms. Then I'm like, okay. And we opened the hotel just for this tournament, so you are our first guest. And it was 1 o'clock in the morning, and there were no lights on in this hotel. Then I was just like, I tried to hide my fear. And then he was like, come, don't worry, madam, I will see you to your room. So he took me to my room. And that's just one of many stories that I experience when I'm on tour. And it's one thing to experience it, and it's way another thing to share it with a lot more people and have them come with me on that journey, really. So the biggest thing I want people to take away from Tennis with Sarah, really, is to realize that from my story, from humble beginnings of 19, where everybody tells you it's impossible, to being today, standing before you, having played in SEA Games, representing Singapore in Fed Cup and multiple international tournaments, is to realize that really you are never too weak, too old, or too poor to follow your dreams. That's it. That's me. Thank you.